see you again, Louis.
You doing all right?
Good.
It's all
Glad
right.
you have me here.
Yes, sir. You do. Hey, you where? You know where you at?
Ain't no days off.
Ain't no days off.
And this is on a Saturday.
It's on a Saturday, and it ain't summertime out there either.
No, it's not. It's getting cold. All the tourists went home.
You know where you at?
Ain't no days off podcast.
Ain't no days off podcast, the one and only. So what's your name and where you from?
My name's Todd, and I'm from Conway, South Carolina.
Okay, Conway, you been there all your life?
I have, born and raised.
Okay, you love it?
No.
Oh, okay. But that's all you know?
It is.
Okay. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Can you briefly describe your childhood?
Alright, so like growing up, it was real good. Like I had both parents, they both had above average jobs. But like my mom always made time for me and my dad did too. And I was real involved in sports and like I did well academically and I had everything I ever wanted. I was the only child. Like I was spoiled rotten.
What sports did you play?
My main thing was baseball. I played football for a few years. I played soccer for 1 year. And riding dirt bikes.
Okay. So you had your mom and your dad was there growing up?
Yeah.
Did you face any challenges while you were growing up?
No, like my life was good. It was never good enough, you know what I mean? But like looking back, if I could go back to that life, I would in a heartbeat. Like everything, as far as an education, like I never was that guy that had to sit there and study for hours for a test or whatever. Like it just came to me natural. I paid attention in school, like did my homework, like I got money for good grades, so that was always a motivation. But like I used to be a good kid.
So you say you were growing up and you say your household was functional?
Yeah.
There was love there, caring, dinner table, talked about problems.
Yep, every day.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Was there any trauma in your childhood?
No. Not until I was 13.
What happened at 13?
All right. Well, like my mom had cancer the whole time I was growing up. Well, let me start off. When I was born, I was adopted, and like my parents was honest with me about it. Like the people who adopted me, that's who I call my parents. But they never hid it from me or anything. So, but like, and I knew they loved me and shit. But like, I've always felt different. Like my family, like they have black hair now, but they all had blonde hair growing up, and like I never did. You know what I mean? Like my hair was always brown, so like I felt apart from them in that way.
And this was your mom, the person you call your mom and your father?
Yes.
All right. So when did they tell you were adopted, or did you know it the whole time?
I've known it as long as I can remember.
Okay. So there was no so they didn't treat you. So did your other family members treat you any different?
No, like I was loved by all of them, like completely, like just like I was their blood or whatever. Like I never knew any different. I mean.
Okay. So so you said that your mom, she passed from stage 4 cancer?
Yeah, that was when I was about 13 years old. Like I was there the whole time she had it. Like it started when I was real young, and like I saw her go through the phases. Like it started out in her breast, and then went somewhere else, and then to another place, and I don't even know. But like it ended up going to her brain, and like she was there physically, but like that wasn't my mom anymore. Like she was a completely different person. Um, like hospital bedridden. The hospice nurses come in, take care of her and stuff. Like, and mainly like just her whole personality changed whenever the cancer went to her brain, and like I don't know.
So with you being 13 years old, you still a child.
Yeah.
How did watching your mama go through watching your mama transform like that or transition like that? How did it affect you as far as your school, your friends, and your social life?
I mean, it didn't until I got to that age where I was like starting to be interested in girls and whatnot. And like, I remember one time in particular, like, I was like, Mom, like, I'm about to go hang out with this girl at Broadway. Dad's gonna drop me off because that's what they used to do back then. They'd drop us off and pick us up and give us gas money or whatever. And but anyway, like she was like, well, like go have fun with your floozy or something to that effect. Like you don't want to spend time with me, and like I don't know. That wasn't my mom. Like I refuse to remember my mom that way because that was not her personality at all.
At all. So what you remember about is the love, the care, the warmth, and all.
Yeah.
Those are the memories that you prefer to remember her by.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as like your feelings were concerned, watching her go through this and then she finally transitioned, right?
Yeah.
Where were you when you found out that she was gone?
I remember coming home from school one day and like I walked in the front door like I always did, and we had a couch right there by the front door, and my dad was sitting on it crying, and like he didn't even have to tell me. Like I knew what had happened, and I cried too, and yeah, like I remember a short time after that, like I had learned how to surf, and I guess as a way to make me feel better, he sent me on a surf trip with the village surf shop in Merle's Inlet, and we all went to Costa Rica for a week. That was cool, and pretty much back to normal life after that.
So as a child and your mother had passed, your heartbeat, your best friend.
Yeah, that's like definitely the parent that I was more closer to.
How was there ever a time that you felt guilty or felt like it was that you had something to do with that?
No, I mean, I knew she had cancer from a young age. Like, I knew it was coming, but like, you can do everything you can think of to try to prepare yourself for that. But then when it happens, it's like, fuck, like, my whole world had changed. And a few months after that, like, I went to my first high school party and got in a car with a drunk driver, and we flipped the car.
Were you drinking it? Were you drinking?
I was not.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
And like, but I was wearing my seatbelt, so I stayed in the car. Everybody else got ejected, and it hit a telephone pole. Like, it was a whole big deal. Like, they had to get the jaws of life, and then airlifted me to MUSC, and they put me in a medically induced coma to release the swelling in my brain, and then they couldn't wake me up, so I was out for like 3 weeks, and then like I don't remember none of that, but like the first memory I have is being in an ambulance on the way to Charlotte Institute of Rehabilitation, and
That's the place because you were really messed up.
Yeah, like I
Third.
couldn't form sentences. I couldn't use my arms or my legs or none of that.
Do you remember how long you stayed there?
Like 3 months. I was supposed to stay longer, but once I could walk a little bit, I was like, I'm good.
And at 3 months, were you back talking and using things? Okay.
Yeah.
So you came back home. After 3 months, get into a wreck. You come back home. You're like 14 now.
Close to it.
Okay. All right. So once you got back home, what was your life like then?
I mean, I remember I used to like hunt a lot, and like it was about that time of the year for duck hunting, and the hospital had told me like I would never be able to shoot a gun again, and like I did that excessively.
Did you ever see your friends again that was in the car ever?
Yeah. I mean, we went to the same school and everything. We lived right down the road from each other.
But not the driver.
No, the driver. I know his name, but like he's one of us that just hasn't gotten recovery. So like he's out there doing what he does. And
okay. All right. So now you got this relationship with your mother, and y'all were tighter than your father. How did you and your father, how did y'all relationship become once your mother passed? Did y'all grow closer?
Yeah, definitely. Cause like we were all each other had, you know what I mean? Like my family, his family, his side of the family, like they all lived up north. So like the only time we'd see them really is at Christmas, and like every summer we'd all go meet at a lake in Minnesota.
Okay. And have a great time.
Yeah, it was some of the best times of my childhood. I remember at that lake.
Okay, so now like so what happened after that? As far as your life, because it's different now.
Yeah,
it's a lot different.
Yeah, I definitely started to rebel. Like I did not like any type of authority. I wasn't able to grasp things like educationally like I used to. So like I was frustrated.
Did you seek any therapy?
I got kicked out of therapy. Cause like I didn't take it seriously.
Okay.
And I told him like I was like, I'm trying to go. I don't know if I should say it on here, but I was like, man, like we need to hurry this up. Like I'm trying to go lose my virginity. And that was that. And I never went back.
All right. So are you getting in trouble at school and all that now?
Yeah. Let's see. Like smoking in the bathroom, and hanging out with I guess you would say the thuggish kids, because that was the first people to accept me.
Bad apples.
Yeah. Outcasts.
Yeah. So like when you did get in trouble and you was reprimanded for your behavior, did you ever use your mom's death as an excuse?
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember in science class was my last class of the day, and some kid said, "Yo, mama," like, and then I was like, "Well, that's my excuse right there." Like, I'm gonna go hit him after class, and I'm gonna make sure everyone sees it, so everyone knows. And I did that, and then the school resource officer came up and put me in handcuffs, and then like my friend explained to him what had happened, and he was like, "Well, we're gonna let him get on the bus and let you go." And in my mind, it's like, cool, I can act out and get away with it because I have an excuse.
Your mom passed.
Yeah. Not to mention the brain thing. But like, so that, there was that, and like, no matter if it's good attention or bad attention, like, as long as I'm the center of attention, I don't care what kind of attention it is.
Okay.
and that I think played a part into later.
So now that you're giving me a background story of you growing up, when did the your person in recovery? I know that because we're in recovery together. So when were you introduced to drugs or alcohol?
Around the time I was when I was in that car wreck, like I didn't know it at the time because I was unconscious or whatever, but they had started giving me a lot of morphine and shit. And so like after that, like I knew something was missing, but I just hadn't found out what it was yet. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then it's like I found it or I tried it or whatever.
You
And
tried
like
what?
after all, I think.
Okay.
And that filled that hole inside me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it made me feel whole. Like I was like, I want to feel like this for the rest of my life, and I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to keep it like that.
So when you said it made you feel whole, because did it make you feel like invincible? Did it make you feel like everyone accepted you? Did it make you feel all right with what had happened to your mother? Like what is making you feel
I mean,
good?
once I started using or whatever, like the thoughts of my mother or of the brain injury or of any other thing that had happened to me or whatever, like all that shit went out the window. Like I was just, it was on. Like I wanted to feel like this forever. Like I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to make that happen.
And that's what you chased for a long time.
Yeah, and like it came to a point where it didn't matter what the specific substance was. It was like I just wanted something that would make me not feel like me, even if it was just for a little bit, because feeling like me with all these things that have happened to me in my life, like I had that sense of individualness, like there ain't no one else that's bad off like me, like this, or no one's had it as hard as I have, or you know what I
I
mean?
do understand. So was there any treatments or
That was more than a few.
how old were you when you went to your first treatment?
19,
19.
I think. Yeah.
So did you stop did you use after you left treatment?
Yeah.
Why didn't you get it then while you was in treatment? How long did you stay in treatment?
90 days.
Um why and they taught you coping mechanisms about triggers and about not using and all that stuff, right?
I mean, yeah, it was more based on a fellowship than it was like based on medical stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
I understand. So you really didn't get into this treatment, but you went through the motions and you graduated.
Yeah, like I didn't even think I had a drug problem when I went there. I went there at the advice of my lawyer to get me out of some charges.
Okay. Did, okay. So you stayed there how long?
90 days.
90 days. You leave there. Did you go right back? Did you go right back to drugs?
Not yet. Like first, I went to a AA meeting,
Okay.
recovery meeting, and they asked me about the identification, and as far as I knew, I was an addict because I hadn't started drinking yet, and that wasn't what they were looking for, I guess, and I don't know. I took that as my excuse to go get high.
I've heard about people going to recover to self-help groups.
Yeah.
And them being told that they was in the wrong place. So with you, 19 years old, wanna 19 years old, wanna do better and get yourself together. How did that make you feel?
It was I mean, it was like, well, that's my justification right there. Like, I'm gonna go do what I gotta do best. And it's get high and drink and party and just do things that will make me forget my outside circumstances long enough to be at peace with myself.
All right, okay, you're doing all this. You say you and your daddy still got this. Is your relationship with your father the same?
I mean, yeah, like he always loved me, at certain times it was like I frustrated him. Like, it got to a point. I remember one time, like he had a injury because he was under so much stress. Like he had like half a stroke or whatever from stress from me
from you
that I caused. Yeah.
Did that stop you from getting high?
No, no. I mean, it.
Did you even slow down?
Temporarily. I mean, until the consequences went away. Like that's what I always did. Like when the consequences got too bad, I'd check myself into a rehab, go to detox.
How many rehabs and detoxes you been to?
I've been to 3 different rehabs, but I've been to the same rehab probably. That first one I went there probably 4 times. Just like trying to get right, and that was all I knew at the time. You know what I mean? I didn't know there was a big recovery community out here.
Why do you think when you went to those rehabs those times, why do you think you didn't get it those times?
Because I wasn't ready. Like it's a saying, like people say like you can't get this until you're ready to get it or whatever, but like it's the truth. Like for me, I had to exhaust all my resources.
What does that mean?
Like, as long as I had a couch to sleep on and a phone to manipulate people, or a truck to drive, or stuff to pawn, or like anything like that, as long as I had something I could use to get money, to get another one, then I wasn't done. For me, like I had to hit that place of just pure hopelessness and like desperation, to where it was like even when I finally did get what I wanted, it didn't have the desired effect anymore. Like it just made me feel regular.